Shocking moment, paralyzed millionaire jokes with beggar, then feels his legs at midnight. It was just past midnight when the city lay enveloped in a cold, eerie stillness. The skyscrapers loomed like silent giants above the streets, their windows glimmering like thousand-yard stairs. In a dimly lit alley, a paralyzed millionaire named Victor Hargrove sat in his sleek, customized wheelchair, an expensive suit draped over his frail frame. His wealth had not shielded him from tragedy. A car accident had rendered him numb from the waist down. Yet tonight, beneath the flickering neon signs and shadows stretching like dark fingers, he seemed alive with mischief. There was a beggar, an unkempt man with a scruffy beard and a worn-out coat, sitting on the gritty pavement, clutching a dented coffee cup. A bizarre tension hung in the air as Victor leaned down, a sly grin creeping across his face. "Hey, buddy," he called, his voice booming in the quiet night. "Care for a joke? My life's a punchline, maybe you can make it better." The beggar's eyes widened in disbelief, a mixture of suspicion and curiosity flashing across his face. What kind of millionaire found humor in their own plight? Just the two of them under the city's glowing canvas, it felt like a scene out of an unthinkable nightmare or a twisted comedy. "Why would I laugh?" The beggar shot back, his voice raspy but defiant. The alley seemed to hold its breath, the air thick with disbelief and anticipation. In that fraught moment, something shifted. The millionaire, for reasons only he could grasp, made a sudden, inexplicable movement. His hands, trembling with excitement, reached down and he touched the beggar's legs. It was a strange act, an eerie connection made even stranger by the darkness. Could he really feel? Was it even possible? People nearby began to murmur, shocked whispers trailing through the stillness. "What is he doing?" One young woman gasped, her eyes wide as porcelain. The scene felt both electric and absurd, like a train careening off the tracks, terrified laughter bubbling just beneath the surface. Yet that beggar's gaze was so intense. The unease clawed at Victor's throat. A myriad of emotions brewed: fear, hope, confusion churning inside him. Ahead loomed undeniable mysteries. "Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Victor's fingers trembled, and the beggar sat frozen in shock. What had just transpired? Was there more to this man? The minutes stretched painfully as the moon cast a soft glow over their unlikely meeting, making it feel almost magical. Then, without warning, Victor pulled back, his face a mix of astonishment and disbelief. The night air crackled around them. The crowd quieted, breath held in collective suspense. Could it be that his numb legs stirred with life? As the beggar stared wide-eyed, caught between disbelief and intrigue, a shiver ran down Victor's spine. Just what had happened in that dark alley tonight? And would he dare to find out? Victor blinked hard, his heart pounding like a war drum in his chest. The world around him faded into a dull hum, the energy of the crowd thick and charged, electrified by the bizarre spectacle before them. He glanced at the beggar, who remained staring at him, eyes filled with a cocktail of confusion and caution, as if the instant had reshaped their understanding of reality itself. What just happened? Victor's voice trembled, hope lacing his words. Had he felt something? Anything? The question loomed. Victor shifted in his chair, drawing attention back to himself, a man lost in the riddle of his own body. The distant sirens and city noises grew muffled, like echoes of a world trying to intrude upon something sacred. "Did you feel that?" he asked, almost to himself. The crowd was thickening, shadows creeping closer, fascinated yet fearful. The beggar's brow furrowed, uncertainty reflected in the missing windows of his life. Victor's heart raced as he watched the man's expression change, from skepticism to a flicker of understanding, like a spark igniting in the darkness. "What are you?" the beggar whispered, his voice hoarse, burdened by years of survival on the streets. It was a question that sliced through the air, raw and unfiltered, hanging like a ghost between them. A murmur rippled through the onlookers, an involuntary gasp escaping the lips of the curious. Their lives were worlds apart, yet this night had converged their destinies in a way neither could have anticipated. Victor could feel their eyes on him now, fixing him in place like prey. "I'm just a guy," he attempted to joke, forcing a laugh that twisted with nerves. "A guy who's bad at timing." But beneath the facade, he felt the weight of the beggar's gaze, pressing down with gravity. This wasn't just about humor, this was about something deeper, something buried. He swallowed hard, the tiniest flicker of warmth moving through legs that had been soldiers of silence for too long. The beggar studied Victor's face, reading the turmoil reflected there. "What are you hoping for? A miracle?" His words dripped with skepticism, yet there was an unspoken hope buried beneath them. Victor's throat tightened. "I used to hope. I don't know where it went." A heavy silence fell, punctuated only by the rumbles of the city far beyond their alleyway sanctuary. Victor felt compelled to reach out again, a desperate attempt to connect the threads of possibility, to bridge the gap of what once was and what could be. "Please, let me feel again," he murmured, his eyes pleading with the beggar. With a quick movement, he grasped the man's frail hand, their skins touching, sensitivity mingling in a fleeting moment charged with potential. Then, suddenly, a force swept through their connection. Victor's heart raced as warmth bloomed in his legs, a primal instinct pulling him forward. What was this surge? The crowd gasped collectively, their breath caught in disbelief as Victor's body quaked with energy. The beggar's eyes widened, the realization dawning like the first light of day signaling the end of a chilling night. "This isn't normal," Victor rasped, panic edging his voice. But even as he spoke, he could sense that something extraordinary was unfolding. A hand shot out from the crowd, a stranger wanting to intervene, but the spellbound audience remained transfixed, caught in the throes of possibility. Victor looked around, desperation mingling with elation. The promise of movement was teasing the edges of reality. "What happens now?" the beggar asked, voice laced with vulnerability. As Victor moved to speak, a sharp pain erupted through him, blinding and intense, like shards of glass splintering into his consciousness. He gasped, eyes wide, losing his grip on the moment, and then darkness. The crowd recoiled, murmurs turning into frantic whispers as Victor slumped in his chair. What did I do?" When the shadows receded, silence engulfed the alley. Had the miracle of reawakening slipped from his grasp? The specter of hope lingered, muted like the flickering streetlights. What was waiting behind that curtain of darkness? With Victor lost, the beggar's gaze turned toward the crowd, a mixture of fear and concern clouding his features. Would he find the courage to delve deeper? Would anyone dare to investigate what really transpired under the veil of night? The city held its breath, as every soul present was pulled into the unfolding enigma. "Will he come back?" the beggar whispered, heart pounding. But one thing was certain, the night had just begun. Victor gasped as colors swirled around him, flashes of blue, red, gold, all mixed with the darkness that swallowed him. It wasn't just the absence of light, it was the weight of oblivion pressing down on his chest, heavy and suffocating like a thick fog. A distant voice beckoned, the same beggar, now more like an echo, a beacon in the storm of Victor's mind. Victor. The very name felt foreign, unreal. Had he truly lost himself so completely? He struggled to remember who he was amidst the chaos. Suddenly, he saw a light, a soft, warm glow weaving through the shadows. It flickered, suddenly blinding, then dimmed. With a raw surge of desperation, he pushed toward it, feeling his legs respond as if they recognized their master for the first time. "You can come back." The beggar's voice was louder now, breaking through the haze. "Just believe." Victor's heart thundered in his ears. Believe? What did that even mean? Was it just hope wrapped in the facade of a whimsical fairy tale? Yet, in that desperate moment, he clung to it. Spurred by an instinct he couldn't explain, he focused on the flicker of light, pulling his spirit back from the abyss that in an instant, a rush of sensation flooded his legs, warmth igniting the nerves, each pulse becoming a crescendo of life returned. He felt strength bloom, growing from his core out to his limbs. He was no longer a ghost of himself. It was as if time unfurled its wings and lifted him, buoyed by the faith of the beggar who wouldn't let go. Victor! The crowd's collective gasp cut through like a knife, the murmurs swelling into a wave of disbelief. Their eyes bore into him, a sea of faces flickering like candlelight, some illuminated with hope, others draped in skepticism. Victor's body shook with newfound energy. He wanted to stand, to leap, to scream. "I can feel!" he cried out, his voice rough yet laced with exhilaration. The crowd surged in response, bodies pressing forward as disbelief melded with amazement. Then came a haunting silence as the ground below him shifted. The familiar crack in the pavement caught his eye, a stark reminder of the old life he thought he'd lost forever. His heart raced with a sudden realization, a painful reminder that the miracle unfolding before him held shadow and light. A figure from the edges of the crowd stepped forward, someone he couldn't quite see from his position. "Victor, don't be foolish." The voice barked, slicing through the atmosphere with a harshness that startled him. "You don't know what you're playing with." Fear clawed at Victor's chest as he tried to focus on the figure, a man dressed sharply, his presence heavy with authority. Who was he? An old life? A ghost from his past? "Stay away from the boy!" the beggar shouted, pulling Victor's attention back. "He's more than he knows." Suddenly, the world tilted, as if the very foundation of reality was wavering. Victor felt himself teetering on the precipice of an extraordinary truth, a vast unknown looming before him. The energy crackled in the air, almost electric. "What does that even mean?" he asked urgently, looking back at the beggar, who now appeared fierce and determined. The curiosity in the crowd flickered like a flame, breathing life into the atmosphere thick with tension. "Sometimes, we have to break a little to feel whole again," the beggar shouted, his voice rippling like a stone cast into a pond, creating circles of energy that echoed outward. Victor's mind raced. Could it really be that simple? Or was it all a dangerous game, one where he might lose everything again? The clock in the distance ticked impatiently, each second another heartbeat of uncertainty. The stranger moved closer, eyes narrowing with intent. "Don't listen to him, Victor. There's more at stake than you understand." Pain surged in his chest, and he felt the flames of anxiety creep back in. Who could he trust, in this swirling chaos of light and dark, hope and fear? Victor took a deep breath, as if the air itself was a fragile bridge between his past and a future he couldn't quite define. The beggar's intense gaze urged him onward, but the reality of the stranger's warning hung like a specter in the air. Could he embrace this chance? Would standing mean risking everything? Victor's heart raced as tension mounted, leaving one soul-stirring question lingering in the air: was he ready to step across the threshold into an unknown reality? The answer lay just beyond the shadows, waiting. As the echoes of uncertainty cascaded around him, Victor stood frozen, a fragile shard of glass poised on the edge of a precipice. The beggar's fierce gaze and the unknown man's warning crashed against one another in his mind like waves thrashing against a desperate shore. This moment teetered between salvation and ruin. "What do you mean, more at stake?" Victor shouted, his voice trembling. The words shot through the air, desperate, as raw as the fear gripping his heart. The stranger stepped closer, a flinty edge to his gaze. "You don't understand the power you're playing with. It isn't just your life, it's lives beyond your own. You need to see the bigger picture." The crowd shifted uneasily, whispers weaving through them, a tapestry of uncertainty. "What is he talking about?" someone murmured. "What can this boy do?" Victor's chest tightened. He wanted answers. Just tell me what's happening. Why is this moment so critical? Is it truly magic? Am I special in some way? Special? The beggar scoffed, though it was by no means unkind. You don't need magic to feel alive, Victor. You need courage. This isn't about being extraordinary. This is the very essence of being human, of facing your darkness and rising with strength. With every passing moment, Victor felt pulled between worlds, the beggar's impassioned plea tugging at something deep within him, while the stranger's stark seriousness dampened any sense of hope. He shifted his weight uncertainly, aware of his legs, of sensations he hadn't felt in an eternity. Believe in yourself. The beggar shouted again, the urgency in his voice a lifeline. This is only the beginning of the journey, and it's yours to choose. Victor's heart stammered, a flicker of defiance igniting inside him. A voice stronger than his doubts bubbled to the surface. I choose to feel. The air vibrated with energy as he thrust his hands forward as if to physically grasp onto the moment. Colors exploded around him once more, brighter this time, an iridescent haze reflecting his newfound resolve. The doubts that had held him captive began to dissipate like morning fog, yet the stranger's shadow loomed larger, now his voice smooth and chilling. You want to find your way back, Victor. It's too late for that. You meddle with forces beyond your comprehension. Fear slithered back into Victor's psyche, an insidious whisper undermining his burgeoning confidence. Was he really navigating realms he didn't understand? The weight of decision hung heavy as a storm cloud, threatening to burst in an instant. He felt the ground shift beneath him, the pavement cracking open slightly, revealing darkness below, a gaping wound in reality. Gasps erupted from the crowd, the whispers growing frantic. Victor! The beggar called, voice laced with a desperation Victor couldn't ignore. This is your chance. Embrace it, or the shadows will consume you. With a surge of will, Victor leaned forward, feeling the heat of determination coursing through him, pushing past the fear gripping his heart. The world twisted again, the familiar edging away while the extraordinary reached out like a lover's embrace. Hold on! He shouted, eyes blazing with newfound clarity as he stepped toward the beggar, the shadows pulling at his heels. Suddenly, the stranger lunged, grasping Victor's arm, a vice-like grip. You're not ready for this, Victor. Don't let the madness in. The crowd gasped collectively, eyes wide and reflecting the growing chaos, a dance of fate about to unfold. Victor felt torn, a battle raging within as darkness swirled and crackled around him. Which will you choose? The beggar whispered, urgency simmering in his voice. Believe in yourself above all else before it's too late. Victor's breath echoed around him as he wrestled with the gravity of the moment, the weight of existence swirling in a mad tempest. How could he trust the beggar over the man who seemed so intent on saving him? He took a deep, shuddering breath, sensing the pivotal crossroads ahead. Would he leap into the unknown, relinquishing control? Or would he wrestle with fear, staying shackled in the familiar? Time itself felt suspended, the world around him vibrant with energies that crackled on the cusp of revelation. Each choice shimmered like the colors he had seen, both beautiful and terrifying, but only one path would lead him to the truth. The question loomed heavy, ready to ignite the final spark. What lay behind the veil of shadows, waiting for Victor's decision to unleash its untold chaos or to finally bring him home? The crowd and the darkness held their breath. Victor's heart raced, a frantic drumbeat propelling him forward. The shadows pulsed at his feet, hissing a siren song of dread and possibility. He could feel the stranger's fingers tightening around his wrist, anchoring him to a reality he was beginning to outgrow. Just let go. The beggar's voice pierced through the tumult. This is your moment, Victor. Dive into the unknown. With those words, Victor felt the ground tremble beneath him. A surge of energy coursed through his veins, a wild current that whispered promises of strength. Could he really give in to this power? Or was it a trap, cloaked in the guise of liberation? He squeezed his eyes shut for a heartbeat, a silent prayer for clarity. But behind his eyelids, shadows danced, swirling into shapes both terrifying and mesmerizing. A rush of images flooded his mind, the struggles of his past, the moments of doubt, faces of those he longed to protect. All of it melted together, forming a vibrant mosaic of potential. Victor. The beggar's voice was insistent, breaking through the haze. You were never meant to be ordinary. Embrace what you are. Who am I? Victor whispered, the question a desperate plea hovering on the brink of his thoughts. And what will you do with that knowledge? The stranger's voice was a cold echo in the chaos, drumming fear into his heart. Power has consequences. Are you ready to face what that means? Victor's breath became a shallow gasp. A dawning realization settled upon him like a thick fog, overwhelming yet inviting. Was he ready to take that leap? To leave behind everything he knew for something grander? Make your choice. The beggar urged, urgency pouring from his words like a lifeline through the storm. The stranger's grip was unyielding, but Victor felt the shadows calling to him, fierce and wild, like a chorus of lost souls searching for a hand to lift them from despair. He opened his eyes, meeting the beggar's fierce gaze, feeling a wave of warmth and hope wash over him. He began, throat suddenly dry. I choose to fight. The instant the declaration left his lips, a bright fissure of light erupted around him, pulling him from the clutches of darkness. The crack in the ground widened, and pulsating light twisted around his body like a protective embrace. Gasps erupted from the onlookers. Their eyes were wide with awe and terror, two dangerous friends in a moment of pure magic. Victor! The stranger shouted, desperate now, as the shadows began to billow back like fabric folding under a storm. You don't understand what you're unleashing. But Victor stood his ground, feeling the rush of purpose infuse him as the transformative energy tingled through every nerve. The outline of the beggar shimmered beside him, the connection between their souls palpable and igniting sparks of bravery. As the ground beneath him settled into brilliance, Victor felt his legs, strong and solid, each tremor of doubt fading away. The chaos around him became an orchestra of light and sound, powerful, raw, alive. In the midst of it all, a piercing scream cut through the air, sharp, chilling. It wasn't from the crowd. It came from deep within the shadows where the stranger lingered. As Victor turned, he saw a flicker of disbelief transform into something far darker, eyes wide with a mixture of fury and fear. Then, without warning, a dark wave surged forward, a shadowy figure breaking free from the darkness, an embodiment of every fear he had ever faced. Victor's heart pounded fiercely in his chest. This was the battle, the manifestation of his choice finally revealing itself. What is that? He gasped, his voice barely a whisper as the creature advanced, obscured yet palpable, a harbinger of dread hovering ever closer. The beggar stepped to Victor's side, eyes fierce and unwavering. It is your darkness, Victor. But it has no power over you unless you let it. Victor's world narrowed in on that moment, a single truth breaking through the chaos: he had the power to confront it. And so, as the creature loomed, he prepared to confront not just the nightmare in front of him, but the shadows. Lurking deep within his own heart, could he truly conquer the darkness? Or would this moment unravel everything he had just begun to understand? The answer was emerging like dawn breaking over the horizon, illuminating more than just his path but also the very essence of who he was destined to become. The creature loomed closer, its form shifting like smoke in the wind. Victor felt his pulse quicken, the light surrounding him flickering in response to the encroaching shadow. He could see its eyes, now two dark pits filled with an insatiable hunger. Fear clawed at his throat, but with the beggar by his side, a twist of resolve coiled inside him. Stand firm, the beggar shouted, his voice cutting through the rising tide of dread. You are more than this darkness. Victor's breath hitched. What did that mean? Could he be more? The shadows pulsed like a living thing, and he could feel their cold touch trying to wrap around him, trying to pull him down into their depth. He resisted, heart hammering, muscles tense. It was now or never. Taking a step forward, he felt the light pulsing through him. You don't own me, he shouted, each word laced with defiance. The boldness of his challenge sent a tremor through the shadow figure, ripples like waves crashing against a shoreline. Victor clenched his fists, the warmth igniting within him as he poured every ounce of hatred, fear, and hope into a single thought: I choose to fight. In that moment, light erupted from his hands, blasting forward with a force that thrust against the darkness. The figure recoiled, hissing like burning coals. The crowd gasped, a collective intake of breath that filled the air with anticipation, but just as Victor felt the tide of victory slide beneath him, the ground beneath his feet began to shake violently. An earthquake of energy trembled through the earth, sending tremors shockingly through his legs. He stumbled, alarm flashing in his eyes. The light dimmed, flickering as if it struggled against an unseen adversary. Victor, brace yourself. The beggar warned. Suddenly, the dark creature lunged, baring its twisted fangs, and Victor felt terror wrap around him like a chokehold. Instinct kicked in, and he dove to the side, rolling away from its menacing grasp. The impact of the ground jolted him, but he pushed through, adrenaline flooding him with newfound vigor. He sprang to his feet, heart hammering, legs shaking yet strong beneath him. This wasn't just a battle against the darkness, it was a battle for himself. He could feel a shift within, an awakening of strength that had long lain dormant. Victor let the light course through him, connecting to the energy of the earth. I am more. He shouted defiantly at the creature, forcing the words into the core of his fear. Say it. The beggar shouted back, urgency lacing his voice. Say it and mean it. With every ounce of belief he could muster, Victor roared, I am more. Light exploded from him, a radiant shield. The shadows writhed and twisted as Victor pushed the darkness back, illuminating the path before him. The howl of the creature echoed in distress, the air thick with the clash of light against shadow, but amidst the clamor, an awful realization twisted his stomach tight. This wasn't just a part of him. This darkness had a name, a history. Victor the beggar's voice dropped to a hush, eyes widening. You must confront the truth. In that instant, the creature shifted, revealing flashes of memories Victor had buried deep, moments of despair and betrayal. Faces he recognized but wished to forget floated through the veil of the shadow, each one a painful reminder. Time hung heavy, and the weight of unspoken words threatened to crush him as he faced not just the creature, but everything he had kept hidden. Who are you? Victor asked, voice trembling, yet fierce. It was no longer just a fight, it was a reckoning. The creature paused, its swirling mass morphing into the faces of those Victor had wronged, longing to speak. What secrets did they carry? What truths was he afraid to face? Embrace them. The beggar urged, fire igniting again in his eyes. Face them, and they will have no power. The shadows thrashed, trying to reclaim their grip, as Victor stood at a crossroad that could change everything. Could he gather the courage to confront the darkest corners of his soul? And just as he took a breath, ready to meet his fears head-on, the ground beneath him cracked, threatening to swallow him whole. What would happen when the past revealed itself? Would he fold under that pressure, or rise to reclaim his true self? The ground trembled, fissures spreading like veins through the earth, and Victor felt the world slipping beneath him. The creature loomed like a nightmare turned real, shadows flickering in response to the chaos. Faces from his past swirled around him, the whirlwind of memory both painful and poignant. Could he even face them? The question clawed at his mind, the beggar's voice sliced through the chaos. You must not run. You must confront what you've buried. Victor's heart thundered. He was on the edge of something monumental. The creature shifted again, its dark essence spilling into yet another face, a boy from his childhood, framed with laughter twisted into resentment. The boy's voice echoed in his mind, you left me behind. No. Victor shouted, anguish tearing through him. I didn't mean to. I thought I was protecting you. As if his words had summoned it, the darkness surged forward. Tendrils lashed out, pulling Victor down into a swirling abyss of regret. He struggled, caught between the light and the dark, each moment echoing with the voices he'd long silenced. The beggar's figure shimmered, flickering like the light that fought against the crushing weight. Victor! Stand strong! The beggar's eyes blazed with encouragement. They are not here to harm you. They are here to guide you. What did that even mean? Victor gasped as the memories crashed over him. The betrayal feels like blades slicing through him, each memory forcing him to relive the pain he had tried so desperately to forget. Each face appeared, accusing yet pleading with him to acknowledge them. You abandoned us. You need us to be whole again. A sickening wave of guilt washed over him, and his legs faltered. He fell onto his knees, the ground rough against his skin, blending the sensation of pain with despair. He couldn't breathe, projecting both light and shadow into the universe, yet feeling utterly lost in it. Victor! The beggar cried, desperation lacing his voice. You are powerful. Remember the light. Let it drown out the darkness. With a deep breath, Victor summoned every fragment of light he could muster. It flickered to life, illuminating the chaos drawing near. I am tired of hiding. I will face you. His voice pierced through the swirling night, the creature snarled in defiance, and dark energy lashed out, but Victor began to embrace the memories, every face, each hardship, no longer running away. I am not just my failures. I am more than my fears. The faces of his past swirled, hesitating as light enveloped them. They transformed from accusers to companions, their energy merging with his. He could feel the warmth radiating from them, filling the chill that had long taken root in his heart. Fight, Victor! The beggar urged with fervor. Challenge them with love and acceptance. Accept what you were, and see how far you have come. The truth flooded through him. He would not let darkness define him. A wave of determination surged, and Victor stood once more, embraced by the very memories he had once shunned. I am not afraid. He cried, shaking off the darkness. Not anymore. Light erupted from him, pure and beautiful. It rolled outward, pushing against the creature with an intensity that shook both ground and shadow alike. But even as the darkness writhed, another twist lurked just beyond the edge. A new voice emerged from within the shadows, deeper, richer, echoing a twisted amalgamation of all he buried. Are you truly ready to face everything, Victor? It rumbled, vibrating the air with a dark allure, and with that, the shadows twisted unnaturally, revealing another secret tangled in the depths of Victor's heart. One he had long forgotten. What could possibly await him in the depths of his own soul? Would he be prepared to unravel the mystery behind the voice that beckoned him now? Victor felt the earth beneath him pulse, a sickly rhythm that matched the turmoil swirling within. Panic seized him as the voice drummed louder in his mind, are you truly ready? The shadows pulsed like a heartbeat, urging him to plunge deeper into the layers of darkness he had long tried to forget. Who are you? He shouted, his voice quaking yet resolute as he faced the inky mass. The air grew thick with anguish, the scent of old, buried memories wrapping around him like chains. A figure began to materialize, shifting slowly from the shadowy depths. It was a man, his face familiar but twisted, a haunting mirror of Victor's own regret. I am the fear you've ignored, the figure whispered, its voice a chilling echo. I am the pain you refuse to acknowledge. Victor staggered back, raw trepidation clawing at his throat. No. That's not who I am. I'm stronger than this. The creature laughed, a sound that chilled him to the core. Are you? Tell me, Victor, what did you leave behind? Lives you shattered, dreams you buried. Can you truly embrace what you've been running from? What do you know about me? Victor's breath came in stutters now, visions of his past flashing vividly before him. The laughter of friends turned to sneers, the warmth of family morphed into judgment. You're not real. You're just a lie. Am I? The figure leaned closer, its ethereal gaze piercing him. I am every lost opportunity. Every heart you broke. Don't your own memories scream for you to listen? Victor clutched his head, the weight of his past pressing down like a storm cloud. I want to be free. I want to change my story. Then let us rewrite it, shall we? The voice coiled around him, seductive and dark. Let us peel back the layers and expose the truth. With resolve tightening in his chest, Victor stepped forward. No. I want to let you twist my past into my future. Light surged from his spirit, illuminating the dark space like a beacon. As it touched the shadows, they hissed and recoiled, but they didn't disappear entirely. Instead, they contorted, forming new shapes, faces blurred by pain but now laced with curiosity. Face us, Victor, they whispered in unison. Embrace us, your guilt, your sadness, even your anger. We are what you must come to terms with. Every face from his past flickered before him again, each one a reminder of the life he lived, the choices he made. Anger boiled beneath the surface. You took everything from me. He shouted, thrumming with energy as light pulsed through him. Did we take it? The figure replied coolly, eyes pooled with shadows. Or did you send it away in fear? Victor's heart raced, an unsettling truth creeping in. When had he chosen to run? When had he decided to take that detour into darkness instead of embracing the light? No more. I will not be defined by my fears. He roared, pushing back against the tide of darkness, igniting an inner fire. I will confront you all, not with hatred, but with understanding. The shadows recoiled, but a flicker of uncertainty crossed the false Victor's face. The shift was palpable, fear wavering under the might of acceptance. Can you truly forgive yourself? The beggar's voice echoed outside his mind, you cannot heal without forgiveness, Victor. Victor's heart thundered in response. He had to try, no matter how terrifying it seemed. I forgive myself. For every moment, every mistake. I choose to rise, to live fully. Suddenly, the ground shook violently, fissures radiating out, energy swirling around him. Waves of light clashed against the darkness, edges blurring until they melded into something new. He could feel memories being transformed, not erased, but understood. Then face the final truth, the voice warned, darkening once more. You think you are ready, but there's more. Something remains hidden. Something vital. What is it? Victor shouted desperately, feeling the pull of his past refuse to relent. The shadows writhed even stronger, a cacophony of voices demanding his attention. What must I confront? A chuckle erupted from the depths, unsettling yet intoxicating. Find the peace you've buried deepest, your greatest fear. Only then will the real you emerge. Victor's pulse raced. He had taken the first step, but was he truly prepared for what lay ahead? And was it possible that buried within, beyond the shadows, was a truth that could either unlock his freedom or pull him into unimaginable depths of despair? The shadows twisted and undulated, each flicker of light seemed to enlighten the darkness but also intensify the chaos within. Victor's heart raced with dread and curiosity. What could possibly be hidden deeper than the pain he had already confronted? His breath came in quick gasps as he pondered, the atmosphere thickening around him. Greatest fear, he muttered. Echoes of laughter twisted in his mind, haunting him like an uninvited guest. Memories flooded back with blinding clarity. He had built walls around himself, barricading the truth that had become a fading whisper. He took a step back, fear gripping him with cold fingers. Face it, Victor. The figure taunted, its tone dripping with mockery. You think that bright light is enough, don't you? But can it pierce the deepest shadows of your soul? A creeping sensation slithered into his gut, a heaviness that felt akin to an anchor. I want to let you control me. He shouted, desperately trying to match his resolve with the light radiating from his core. But doubt clawed at him, relentless and fierce. What if he couldn't confront the truth? What if it shattered everything he thought he knew? Remember the boy, the figure urged, its voice soft yet chilling, remember the dreams you once cherished. Images burned through his mind, a young Victor in his bedroom, staring at a world map, dreaming of adventures, all so easily snuffed out by the weight of expectations. The laughter of friends during those innocent days seemed so far away now. Laughter turned to ridicule, dreams swapped for responsibilities. He had buried that boy to survive, but at what cost? My past is precisely that past. Victor countered, but uncertainty dripped through his veins like poison. The ground quaked beneath him, shadows swirling like angry whirlpools. I am more than what happened to me. Are you? The voice coiled back, heavier now, a suffocating grip. What about the moment you walked away from the chance to change everything? How many lives did you abandon for your own comfort? A spine-chilling silence fell, straining against Victor's racing heart. He saw it now, the faces of those he left behind, the friendships severed for selfish gain. A raw wound throbbed inside him, a wound he had thought he healed. Stop! Victor screamed, hands pressed against his throbbing temples. I can't bear this, I can't. The air shifted, a sudden stillness engulfing the space. The mocking laughter faded, leaving an eerie calm. Shadows shivered and pulsed as if they were alive, waiting for Victor to embrace them. Embrace us, they whispered, voices layered with a haunting melody. We will not consume you, but rather set you free. Just accept, Victor. All that you've hidden away, face it. He closed his eyes tightly, heart pounding like a drum. He could feel the darkness pressing close, senses on high alert. But alongside that darkness, a flicker of something bright ignited deep within him. Fine. He shouted, defiance lifting his chin. I will face this. Victor opened his eyes, meeting the swirling mass of shadows. The figure before him morphing closer, taking on the look of his younger self, wide-eyed, full of hope, but marred by fear. The cruel grip of past mistakes tightened around him. What are you afraid of, little one? The shadow twisted, echoing his childhood voice back at him. I don't know, he stammered, resuming the connection that was once lost. What if I am not worthy? What if change is impossible? The laughter in the void faded into a soft whisper. That's the fear that binds you. But you have the power to break free. What you believe makes you weak. Victor's breath hitched. Could vulnerability truly be strength? He hadn't thought of it that way. Your greatest fear is not being enough, the figure said gently, almost tenderly now. But how can you be anything if you never dare to try? With every heartbeat, every pulse of light weaving into his being, Victor realized he was ready. He was going to rewrite his story, to confront the deepest darkness and reclaim himself. Yet, just as the shadows began to unravel, a voice broke. Through cold, biting, a reminder of the choice lingering ahead. But can you bear facing him? The one who abandoned you first. A shiver ran down his spine. Uncertainty loomed larger than ever. What was waiting for him on the other side of this confrontation? And was the truth finally within reach, or was it a reckless game that would consume him whole? Victor's heart pounded in his chest, the cacophony of shadows whispering and taunting him. He could feel the heaviness in the air clinging to his skin, urging him to crumble beneath its weight. But he refused to be a prisoner of his past any longer. He inhaled deeply, drawing in the electric energy crackling around him, grounding himself in the moment. I won't back down. He shouted, his voice reverberating with newfound strength. The shadowy figure before him flickered, its form shimmering like heat waves on asphalt. Face me, it murmured, its voice slithering through the air. Face the truth of abandonment, the ache of every choice you made. Can you even stand it? With an intensity like never before, Victor stepped forward. I can stand it. I choose to face everything, my fears, my failures, and my unshakable desire for change. The ground shuddered, the darkness swirling in response, but he pressed forward, fists clenched, heart on fire, the shadows pulled back, allowing him space to breathe. He saw memories flash, moments of laughter, love, and regret merging into a kaleidoscope of experience. Faces of friends lost, times when he chose himself over those who relied on him. Each snapshot jolted him like electric shocks, but instead of pulling him under, they lifted him higher. "Do you see them?" The figure whispered, "Darker now. The life you cast aside." Victor swallowed hard, memories echoing around him like whispers in a crowded room. "I do," he confessed, his voice steady. "But I've learned from them. They're part of me. They don't define me." And with those words, a wave of light surged forward from his heart, spiraling into the very depths of the shadows. Victor embraced the flow, channeling his fiery determination. The darkness writhed and twisted, struggling against the pulse of his light. "I am not afraid to admit my pain," Victor shouted, eyes blazing. "I am not ashamed of my past." In that moment, the figure morphed again, now reflecting the boy he once was, innocent, unblemished, full of dreams. "Do you remember me?" The boy whispered softly, a mournful expression crossing his young face. Victor's heart ached. "Yes, I remember believing in the impossible." "Then believe now," the boy urged, eyes wide with hope. The shadows around him shuddered, flickering uncertainly, as if caught between two realms. Victor took a step back, embracing that little boy inside him. "I will," he promised. "I will fight for you, for us, for every dream we ever had." He drew a deep breath, channeling clarity and strength, vision sharpened, and stepped into the light, no longer bound by fear. Energy thundered through him, the shadows shrieked a collective cry, thrashing and swirling, but Victor stood firm, feeling a monumental shift in the essence of the air around him. With a final push of will, he thrust his hands forward, sending a blinding light cascading over the darkness. "You have no hold over me," Victor declared, voice echoing through the alley like the ringing of a church bell. The light expanded, pulsating with the vibrancy of his spirit, merging with the shadows until they began to dissolve, revealing the faces trapped inside. They emerged, one by one, no longer cloaked in darkness, simply echoes of past moments laid bare. Friends, loved ones, former reflections of himself, all looking at Victor with acceptance and understanding. The shadows that once defined him began to fade like mist in sunlight, leaving only the gleam of every lesson learned, every challenge faced. "I see you," Victor called out, emotions overflowing. "And I'm sorry." The figures spoke, a chorus of voices whispering forgiveness, each one dissolving into radiant beams of light that filled the alley with warmth. The air vibrated with compassion, laced with the recognition that healing had come through vulnerability, understanding, and courage. The street began to brighten as dawn approached, flickering lights transforming into hues of gold and azure. The crowd, once shrouded in disbelief, watched in awe as Victor emerged transformed, radiant, a man reborn, no longer paralyzed by his past. Side by side with the beggar, they stood in solidarity, bound by their own journeys and triumphs. Victor turned to the man who had sparked this miraculous transformation. Gratitude filled his heart. "Thank you," he said simply, feeling the weight of gratitude suffuse his words. "You showed me the way." The beggar nodded, a knowing smile crossing his lips. "We all have the power to change our stories. You have to want it enough to confront the darkness." Victor folded the layers of light around him, finding joy wrapped in acceptance. "And now, I choose life." The crowd erupted into cheers, claps echoing through the alleyways, as the sun slowly broke over the horizon, spilling warmth into the world. In that victorious moment, Victor had conquered the darkness, not just in a battle against fears but with an unwavering trust in the power of transformation. His heart swelled with the realization that life, with its trials and triumphs, was a journey one he was ready to embrace, fearlessly, moving forward into the embrace of a brand new day filled with infinite possibilities. As he wheeled away from the alley, side by side with the beggar, a man who had become a friend, Victor knew he carried the light of understanding with him forever. Artur's voice rang in the air. "This world needs stories that spark change, that ignite hope. Join in, and watch as the light unfolds. And you, my friends, don't miss the next chapter in this thrilling adventure. You need to subscribe immediately. Don't let the chance slip by. Smash that like button now, feed the algorithm, and flood the comments section with your thoughts and theories. This is the moment to show your support, and don't wait even one more second to share this story with at least 5 friends who need some hope in their lives. Together, we can spread the light.